Hey, what's up, everybody? Really appreciate you joining me for this video as well. I was just meditating, and the meditation was basically about getting behind a thought that you have about a label that you have for yourself. And the one that just jumped out to me was that I'm not likable, that in some way maybe I'm unlovable, which I think the unlovable part I don't really agree with, but like frankly, it's been very hard for me to make friends throughout my life. I've always been better about like having a girlfriend and having a relationship, but like actually having a close group of friends who I feel like I can rely on has just been tough. And I've chalked it up to the fact that I moved around a lot growing up, got tired of having to like assimilate and how learn to fit in with different people, and now I've just kind of do my own thing. But I think at the end of the day, I always feel like at the end of the day, even if people like me from the get-go, they're gonna discover that they don't actually like me or that I'm unlikable. And just thinking about that thought and identifying it as something that's not who I am, but maybe something I've just filtered the world through, has just been super helpful. And really the whole basis for making these videos and like really focusing on this now is that I do have a 16-month-old daughter. I want her to be better than me. I don't want her to carry around these thoughts, insecurities, and you just don't want them to struggle. Anyone who has children knows you don't want them to struggle. You see them and they're perfect and they're sweet, and they just have such an innocence and a glint in their eye, and the world is full of possibilities, and sure, like the world is gonna wear on them just like it does on everybody, and they're gonna have trials. You can't protect them from everything, but there's just unnecessary stress and insecurity and simply, I think, hopelessness in some cases that it's just not necessary. It's like you don't need, because the world is full of suffering doesn't mean that you have to suffer. And depression, anxiety, this feeling of being unlikable, I think is something I've had my whole life. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My mom's dad wasn't there growing up. My mom had 8 brothers and sisters, and her mom basically raised all of them on their own. My dad went to prison when I was 9. And you just think like, oh, this is just how it is, at least for me and my family. You learn about patterns of dysfunction and trauma, and that's just going to follow me along. And like, sure, some of it is like, I'm probably not going to be able to get rid of everything, but like, you have a lot more agency than you have. And then like one thing that came from that is just in my early to mid 20s, I was suffering with a ton of depression. For context, my girlfriend and I broke up when I was 20. My high school girlfriend, we dated for 2 years, and it was a bad breakup. The other person did some really hurtful things, not purposely, just went out and lived their life as a single person. And I just, simply wasn't prepared. I didn't think I was ever going to experience being without this person. And then just to see things that were done after our breakup simply rocked me to my core. We went back and forth, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. So just very volatile. And then I developed this mindset where, oh, if I accomplish enough, I talked a little bit about that in other videos. When I graduate college, oh, they're going to realize that they made a mistake. Oh, when I get a good job, they're going to realize they made a mistake. And it wasn't working. I was in a job that on the surface looked like a good job, but I was miserable. I was working in a call center for a financial institution, and I just felt like I went to college just so I could work in a call center and get yelled at and have people be rude to me. But again, it all fit in this like depressive, insecure, like it just everything. It was very, very heavy. And I had thoughts that were not productive and, simply were scary. And it felt very hopeless. And I think the overall takeaway for this video is that like things can get better. I almost imagine it's like this insecurity or this tightness. It's like almost like a knot, and it's wrapped up in paper towels and wet paper towels and wrapped up in wet washcloths and just material, and it's super tight and it's hard to get rid of. But simply time, just holding on, being around long enough to outlast people and things and circumstances, while also making good decisions, like doing what you can, exercising, working with a therapist, hanging out with friends and family, being to work on time, just taking advantage of the things that you can control. You're so slowly unraveling this. Sometimes it's taking off a sheet of paper towel and it's sheet of paper and it just doesn't feel like much changes. Sometimes you have these big breakthroughs. You have a new relationship. Just something happens where you realize like, wait, good things can happen to me. And sometimes that's like a washcloth coming off. And while you're making progress, you can still deal with insecurity and depression. I think one of the things, at least for me, is when I was super depressed and hopeless was I felt like I had to do something really big to get rid of it. Like if I start my own company, or if I got in amazing shape, or if I lost a ton of weight, or like just I ran a marathon, I was gonna feel better and I was gonna be cured. And like that stuff does help. It gives you confidence and it makes you feel like I can make progress or accomplish things despite yourself and despite what you're dealing with. But it's not one or the other. It's not I'm amazing, things are going really well, or I'm hopeless, I'm going to end up alone, all these things. I think it's just a balancing act of making progress, allowing things to get better, but not feeling like, hey, because I'm still dealing with anxiety or depression, or I'm still struggling, that things aren't getting better. So I'll leave you with that. I'm rambling, but these are things that I think about, things that I want to just simply put down and get rid of so I can move forward. And hopefully this is helpful for you. Thanks.